Okay. Well, good morning, Cabinet. It's another fabulous Friday here in Northshore, and it's great to see each of you this morning on March 27th. Hard to believe we've been dealing with this topic for over a month now, but so we have. It's great to see you, and let's go ahead and start where we normally do, which is our Northshore Learns update from each region. So let's start with Obadiah from the north this morning. How are things in the north, Obi?
It's a great day to be a dog in the north.
I see that.
We, yesterday, Tracy Malloy hosted a meeting for all principals to learn about Northshore Learns 2.0, and then each of us assistant superintendents had an opportunity to go meet with our teams individually and work kind of through some of the questions. And they kicked it off with their staff yesterday, and all are very excited to be back and providing instruction for students. So everything's going good in the north.
I love hearing that. It doesn't look as cold in the north this morning. I'm glad you brought a blanket to keep you warm. Michael, how are things in the east?
Same thing in the east. Principals and instructional staff are preparing for the implementation of Northshore Learns 2.0 on our distance learning model. And as Obi shared, they're very excited to get back to actually providing learning opportunities for our students.
Yeah, I know. I've heard from a number of staff and parents that are looking forward to getting back to a bit more structure. So very much appreciate hearing about that. And I'm glad the meeting went well yesterday as well. So next, let's hear from Heather Miller in the South. Heather, how are things in the South?
Fantastic. Happy Friday. The South is doing well. Same as what Obadiah and Michael reported. They're excited to get back to learning. Still also connecting with students this week, and that work will continue throughout today. And then the teams will be getting together to see what the next phase of this looks like and continue to connecting with their students next week as well.
Right. Thank you, Heather. And I know you were on the conference call with the State Board of Education yesterday. You must have had a golden tit because it was really hard to get onto the conference call. I think at 300, they stopped taking people and then made some adjustments. So we'll look forward to hearing a little later in the meeting from you about what you heard.
Great.
So, yeah. So David, how about the West?
Yeah, the same with all of the above. I had an opportunity to pop into one of the staff meetings, 65 staff members there. I was just really impressed. They had exceptional questions.
Nice.
Remarkable problem solving, a real focus on the needs of kids, and just a real excitement to be getting back into it.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to see everybody's face. I know when we started the 11 o'clock yesterday with all our administrators, it's the first time some of us have seen each other really in quite a little while. So it's reassuring, right? We're in a people business, and it's just so important. So, well, thanks, Regional Assistant Superintendents. At this point, Tracy Patterson, let's hear from food service. And I heard obviously last night, some of us were on the phone late. We had some concerns with our food and nutrition services. So Tracy, you want to share kind of an update this morning?
Yes, sure. Thank you. So out of an abundance of caution, out of our conversation last night, the decision was made to close 2 of our 5 production sites, which will reopen on Monday, March 30th. They were closed due to a potential secondary exposure to COVID-19 by a staff member. The 2 sites that were closed for today were North Creek High School and Northshore Middle School. So those 2 sites have undergone a deep cleaning and disinfecting by our facility staff. All 18 staff members that were assigned to those sites are now in a 14-day quarantine.
Right.
To accommodate the number of meal requests daily, we have limited meal offerings which are available. And today, our meal requests were down. So far, we're at 2,450 meal requests, but bringing the total amount of meal serves up to 25,460. So we plan on reopening those 2 sites Monday. We are looking for staff that can fill in, and hopefully we can get things up and running again.
Thank you, Tracy. I know we also have had an interest maybe in some volunteers that we might be able to redistribute staff. I think a strategy we're working on right now is adding more sites with fewer staff at each site. So I know Lisa's collecting, and Natalie Campbell, some volunteers through our website and vetting folks. So, you know, as we move forward in this situation, I think we're going to find that we're going to need more and more hands on deck. But I just really want to thank our food and nutrition staff and our transportation staff that are supporting this important work. They're really heroes on the front line. So I appreciate that. Tracy, any other thoughts moving forward for food and nutrition or plans?
Just that we're probably going to be looking at reducing the number of offerings so we can produce as many meals as possible to reach our community members that are in need. And also, like you said, identify additional production sites so we can maintain social distancing and
Right.
protect our staff. We have PPE, the personal protection equipment out. We have masks and gloves available for all of our nutrition workers and our bus drivers that are transporting food in order to maintain safety. I think the staff remain positive and upbeat and are dedicated to serving the community and helping out in this crisis. And I think it's they've done a commendable job, and I'm very proud of them, and they're proud of our district and what we're doing. So
Yeah, we are Northshore, so we're gonna do this if it's possible at all to do it. So
right.
yeah, we also want to make sure that we take care of the health and safety of our workers, so we're not going to take chances. So
Right.
anyhow, thanks, Tracy. Obadiah, student support sites and a childcare update.
Yeah, we are going to be consolidating down to moving Fernwood and Maywood Hills to the North Shore YMCA on Monday. At the request of the YMCA, it allows to serve some preschool kids as well as to maintain supports with the number of staff that they have. Juliana and Food Services will be providing food at North Shore YMCA, so that will be taken care of. And we have about 55 open seats available still, and are been reaching out to families and getting families signed up that have requested it every day.
Oh, that's fabulous, Obadiah. And I think also moving the childcare to the North Shore YMCA, and we thank our YMCA partners, especially Laria, our CEO, I know has reached out, and they've been such fabulous partners during this time of pandemic. But it also might free up a couple buildings we could move food prep to our earlier point, because we've tried to keep food prep away from childcare so we have as much social distancing as possible. So yeah, that's a great plan. Thanks, Obadiah. So student socialization supports, Chris?
Hi, Michelle. Not much new. Morning. Not much new, but from the emails I received and conversations I've been involved in, there's some real excitement on going back to online learning. I know, as one teacher shared with me yesterday, the feeling of social isolation in any form can contribute to students withdrawing from school. Yeah. And that was her main concern. So she's very happy to be connecting with her students again, and that students once again can connect with their social network.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Chris. I know more ideas will percolate. We're kind of rolling this back out, everyone getting their education legs under them, and appreciate the work and the attention you're providing that, Chris. It's really important. So good morning, Lisa. Where are we? How are we doing in communications?
Communications is doing well. We had a sort of a flurry of emails to get out yesterday. We don't really have anything new today, just responding to a few media inquiries. And then the only thing we think we plan on sending out today from communications is just a reminder about the census, because that is important right now. And
that's right.
It's a bad time. It's a really tough time for it, but it's important to our community.
Yeah, actually, the folks knocking on people's doors with the census probably isn't happening right now, would be my guess, with the whole social distancing issue. So think about paradigms shifting quickly. That must obviously have needed to shift quickly as well. So, all right. Well, thanks for that, Lisa. I do know I mentioned you and your team in our superintendent talk or conversation this morning, and a couple of folks have reached out to try to figure out how to set up like a large conversation maybe with seniors in their respective districts. So I'll connect you to folks in other districts to do that. Technology, Alan, good morning. And you look like you're on a boardwalk there. Where are you?
That's the trail that goes along the Sammamish River Slough here in Bothell.
I wish I could figure out how to do those backgrounds like that are not just the stock ones. That looks fabulous.
Well, we have our secrets. The technology is still just business as usual, but we're getting prepped up for the ramp up of learning online next week here. So my team's excited and ready to go.
So Alan, I have a question. I've had several families, I think now that we're going back to a distance learning model. In Obadiah, we had a North Creek senior, or excuse me, a North Creek student whose parent emailed me this morning that they have not been able to pick up a laptop yet. And now that we're shifting back into, version 2.0, they need one. What advice or what are we thinking about for how to do that? I copied you on the email. I was just curious, is there I know buildings are closed, so just trying to make sense of what might be workable at this point.
Yeah, I talked with some of my team about that yesterday. They anticipated those kinds of questions also. And we've got some ideas that I'd like to bounce around with some folks here to see what can we do that's reasonable and safe for everybody and still keep that social distancing in place. We've got a couple of folks who are on the wait list. We had distribution open for several weeks, but somehow, some way, some folks I think missed the message, and so we've had smattering of requests come in. We've got some ideas. I anticipate we'll be able to get something started.
Well, I just want to make sure, that people are hopeful and know that we're on it. I know we've distributed over 850 hotspots by now. And there were a few I know left and obviously more devices. So I'll look forward next week maybe to a report on kind of what that plan is. Because there are very few students I would think still without a device. But
there should be. We've distributed over 4,500 computers at this point, but there's still a few, it looks like, who somehow got missed.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks, Alan. Appreciate that. Mike Bailey, where are we on business continuity?
Well, not much has changed here either, which is a good news because the staff continues to be able to find ways to get their work done and support the work of all the other folks that are working on the education side of the house. So I understand that I think things are going well with respect to business services and human services or human resources, but I'll defer to Doug on that.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Doug, do you want to pick up from there? How are things in human resources?
Not a lot has changed. People are still working remotely. We're finding that not everything can be done remotely that we perhaps thought. Things that are out of our control, for example, some of the processes put in place by SEB require people to actually put hands on a document. So we have to be more hands-on than we thought. Not a lot, but a little bit. So we're learning as we're going. And then other issues from our unions continue to come forward, and we'll just deal with them as they do. For example, thinking about leaves and how we classify people's leaves. So that's a conversation that we will engage them with sometime next week.
All right, thanks, Doug. Joe, transportation and support services. I know you've got some conversation and for sure some topics that connect to Tracy Patterson's food service report this morning.
Right, so we did have our custodial crews go through and disinfect the kitchens at the 2 sites that were closed down for today. And they'll continue to make sure that those are, continue to be disinfected really, really well for next Monday. I would emphasize the 2 sites were closed down as production kitchens. Both of them, I know North Creek, we were starting drive-through pickup of lunches there, and that'll still be happening. So they're closed down for production, but they're still delivery sites. So people who are going to those sites should go there. We'll just have food that's being prepped at one of the other 3 kitchens being driven over by a bus for delivery at those sites. So we want to make sure people still know they can come pick up their food at those sites.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we did have to adjust the menu because we wanted to meet the large number of meals with fewer staff. So that was the reason for the menu adjustment, is my understanding. Is that correct, Tracy?
Yes, that's correct, Dr. Reed.
Thank you. So Joe, anything else from transportation? And I know our transportation folks are delivering food as well, and we have asked that they wear personal protective equipment. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they've all been supplied masks and gloves, and we're not only asking that they do it, we're sort of requiring them to use that
All right.
for their own safety and community safety, and for the food service staff safety as well.
And my understanding is we're still using our thermometers with staff that are working at childcare and food and nutrition and delivery folks. Is that correct?
Yes, I know we delivered thermometers, so each of the drivers is checking the crew. We don't want all the drivers to come together. So each crew driving has a thermometer so they can check everybody that's in their crew. Food service is checking, the managers, I believe, are checking at their sites.
Yes, that's
I just-
correct.
Yeah.
I want to make sure our public is reassured that we are taking every possible precaution as we provide these essential services, right? Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Joe and Tracy, on that note. Tracy Malloy, I know you're a key professional development person, and I know late yesterday and today, staff are taking advantage of that. Do you want to share an update on that or any other topic, actually?
Yeah, so this morning, a message went out to all of our certificated educators as well as our ESP members who are involved also in instruction with students around several new professional development opportunities that were placed on a schedule today. The first opportunity was at 10 a.m. and it was for virtual distance learning practices for elementary educators, and we have a session at 2 o'clock this afternoon for secondary educators related to that same topic, just good practices for distance learning. We are recording all of these sessions and they are then posted for people to access at a time that meets their needs, because we do know that we have lots of teachers and other members of our employee groups that have competing responsibilities in their homes. So we want to make sure that we're being as flexible as possible for those people. We're also continuing to provide professional development related to different technology topics. Today's topics, I believe, are on the program known as Seesaw, which is used primarily in kindergarten through second grade classrooms, and then also on Hapara, which is something that's well known to our secondary educators. We also are looking forward to planning additional professional development opportunities in the upcoming weeks, and they will continue to focus on technology skills. They'll focus on distance learning practices, as well as providing teachers with the opportunities to engage in different content area professional learning sessions.
It sounds like a couple of those I need to log in and watch.
Well, there are many already available as archived opportunities, so I can send you the link to the different webinars and you can pick and choose as you like.
I know, I think yesterday was the first time I sort of initiated a Zoom meeting, maybe. I'm not entirely sure I actually did.
Well, if you were in the meeting, you must have done something to get that going.
I think so. Thank you, Tracy. The other thing I want to share or talk with you for a minute later, Tracy, is I think there's some other districts that would like to maybe be able to access some of those modules. And since they're not necessarily public facing, maybe how we might craft a cache or some way to send those out. Not all districts have a department, for example, that we have the benefit of. So maybe we can talk offline about how best to share that.
Certainly, and I know that the Northshore Learns team and I are planning on meeting today. Hopefully, if we have the opportunity to find a time on our collective calendars, and I can bring up that topic with them as well. But Northshore shares, so I'm sure that we'll find a way to do so.
We do. That's just who we are, right? And Michael, anything from the Northshore Learns team? I know they've been just busy as bees.
Yes, of course. I think I mentioned that we were taking a look at the staff toolkit and making sure we're reviewing all the documents and resources available there and adding any content that we believe is missing,
Right.
including areas of project-based instruction, universal design for learning opportunities, as well as other things. So we're continually adding materials through the teacher lens at this time as well.
Thanks, Michael. Dugan, updates from your neck of the woods?
Well, it seems like I've been really busy the last day, but everyone else has already covered anything I've had my fingers in. So I will bow out this morning.
Yeah, I really appreciate Dugan's steady hand as I've had to deal with some external facing topics. So it's gratifying to know we have such a strong team that can pinch it. So I want to, does anyone else have anything for the good of the order that we didn't cover or I didn't ask before I make some closing remarks? Alan, I'm glad you stayed on this side of the path and didn't sort of wander off there down the path behind you. Although I find that trail, it reminds me of the trail that goes out to Lake Ozette out on the coast.
Oh, that is a great hike. That
Isn't
is
that
a great hike. Yep,
Yeah, I
very
remember
much.
all of our kids when they were little and my nieces and nephews taking that hike. I don't know that I would do it again with 8 kids under the age of 10, but it was a great hike. They were tired on the way back. Anyhow, so as we close this morning, I just want to make a couple general comments. First of all, I'd like to apologize profusely for the use of the word flu in the last paragraph of my communication that went out yesterday. That was a paragraph we've used consistently throughout this situation to remind us of how important it is to stay one community and one district. And as the language has evolved, so from the beginning of this situation, I recognize that flu is not the term we should be using. It could be misleading and minimize what we know is such an important medical impact. So we have corrected the online version to state COVID-19 and will in future communications avoid the use of the word flu. So I wanted to apologize for that. I did get significant feedback on the use of that word. So thank you for all those of you who took a moment to share that with me. It is important and it will be adjusted in the future. Secondly, just want to remind everybody, actually educators and the community, our staff is really excited about the Northshore version 2.0. People are in this profession because they love kids and love teaching and learning. So we're excited to transition. I want to share, I've received a significant amount of email asking why a different model than version 1. And I want to remind our community that our staff are not immune from this COVID-19 virus any more than other community members are. And each day we hear of another staff member, either that's coping with the COVID-19 personally, or a family member has COVID-19 and they've become a caretaker. So in looking at what might be a sustainable educational model moving forward, it was clear to us we needed some flexibility because our original model was for a short-term duration, maybe 2 weeks. And what we're looking at now potentially could be a much more significant school closure. So in thinking about the flexibility, our ability to deliver content each week in a really thoughtful way, and then having space within the day should a staff member become ill and one of their colleagues need to help pinch hit and have the flexibility to provide the content. What we wanted to build was a sustainable model that could take us into what's a very uncertain future. I'd also like to say that there is time built in for small group learning or for staff to pull together small groups of students or discussion groups on different days. And I think making time for that is also really important as we try to deeply understand a robust content and a seriously robust list of learning resources that we have on our website. So we really feel that the flexibility supports our ability to have healthy staff continue to deliver educational content in a way that's meaningful and attainable for staff and students while maintaining the safety and health of our community. So I appreciate your patience and your grace with that. As we roll forward, we have to recognize that we cannot do business as usual in a time that is not usual. And it is not possible to replicate what occurs in a physical school in any kind of an online or virtual situation. So as we shift paradigms, so too will shift our model. And we ask you to stay close with us, provide us feedback, and continue to support a safe and healthy community and district for all staff and students as well. Finally, I want to mention that there have been questions around spring break. And spring break is something that is calendared and part of our agreement with our associations, and something that will remain as spring break. That's been our agreement over time. Once those contracts and calendars are printed, those are commitments we make to one another. And while I don't think many of us are going anywhere for a spring vacation anytime soon, there will be opportunities to continue to access resources on our website. And if you haven't had a chance, please do take a few minutes to check out the learning resources. The iReady math and reading programs will still be available through spring break, and other learning resources will be available, but it will be a calendared spring break for staff and for the North Shore School District. I'll be sharing more information in the coming days about our model and how to maximize the effectiveness of our new model, as well as how we're going to navigate a variety of other issues this school year. So in the meantime, most importantly, let's stay positive, let's stay in the light, let's stay safe and healthy, and have a fabulous North Shore weekend. Thank you.